going to show you how to make a paper water lily inspired by Claude Monet's The Water Lilies painting. The first thing you're going to need is a piece of paper, and you're going to need it to be a square piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of this off, turn it into a square. I'm going to fold the short edge up against the long edge, and so I've got something that looks a bit like this, and I'm going to cut down this line to take that part of the paper away. So I'm just going to follow where I folded that paper. So you should end up with a small strip that looks like this that you don't need, and then if you open this out again you should end up with a square. Now hopefully you can see that you've got one diagonal line on that square. What you need to do now is you need to fold it again so you get another diagonal line across here. So fold your paper again, matching up the corners as best you can, and you're going to make two diagonal lines across your square. So now you should have a square piece of paper that looks something like this with two diagonal lines across it. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to fold in each of your corners of your square into the centre point of those diagonal lines. So I'll do my first one and show you. I've folded the corner in, so now it looks a bit like this. I've got that fold into the centre. You're going to do the same for the other three corners of your square. Just fold them all into the centre. Try not to overlap those triangles that you're creating. It's okay to have a little gap between them. It'd be better if they don't overlap if you can. Let's do the last one. So you've got all four corners folded into the centre. So now you've got a square, but it's got these triangles that are folded in. The next thing you're going to do is exactly the same. You're going to fold in the four corners into the centre point. So repeat that process. So I'll do one. Folded that in, so we're back to this kind of shape. I've got that fold in there. I'm going to do the same with the other corners of that square. Fold them in. Every time you fold, try and push down on that fold line so it keeps those folds in place, otherwise it all starts to pop back up. And the last one, it looks a little bit like an envelope. There we go. So we should have another square. Again, you've got those triangles that are folded into the centre there. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to turn your piece of paper over. So I want you to think about this flat surface here. But you're going to do exactly the same again. You're going to fold those four corners into the centre of that flat side of your paper. Okay, so I'll fold the first one in. There we go. So I've got that shape again, and I'm going to do the same to the other corners. You need to really fold it down tightly, so pinch it between your fingers just to make sure that fold stays down. So I'll fold the other three into the centre. It's a little bit harder because the paper's a lot thicker because we've already folded it quite a few times. You should be able to get all four into the centre, and you'll have a lot smaller square ready to make your water lily. So now you've got a square, which on one side you've got these triangles that you've just folded those corners in to create, and on the other side you should see that you've actually got some squares which could lift up if you wanted them to. Okay, I want you to go back to that triangle side, and I want you to actually open up those triangles again. Not all the way, they don't have to be flat, but just open them out so your shape is a bit like that now. Okay, and now turn it over again. So now it looks a little bit like this, and you've kind of got those little flaps on that side. Now if you look at your shape, you should see that you've actually got some triangles there that go into the centre. So you've got the long line of your triangle down the side here. You've got some triangles that go into the centre. What you need to do is you need to fold those triangles back on themselves. And I'll show you one and see if that helps. So you're not opening it out, you're going to fold it back on itself and almost make this kind of hat shape with that triangle on that side. Okay, and you're going to do that with the other 4 triangles. So you've got one here, here, and at the bottom now. Fold them all back on themselves. Okay, so you're making a hat, a little paper boat shape with those triangles. And if you've done that for all 4 of them, you should end up with something that looks like this. So it's got some bouncy triangles around the edge which have been folded back on themselves, and inside it has still got some little flaps there that you could open if you wanted to. Once you've done that and you've got that shape, then you need to turn it over, and on the other side you should see a flat square still. Now this is the tricky part. This is where you need to do a few things at once. Each of these corners of this square are going to be folded into the centre point. Okay, so I'm going to take one and I'm going to fold it into the centre point. Okay, so there's a corner of my square here, and I'm going to fold it into the centre point. And I'm actually going to hold it with my finger because otherwise it's going to pop back up again. Alright, and it should kind of create 2 little ears which are actually going to become the petals of your water lily. Okay, and you need to do the same for the next corner of that square, but you want to keep hold of that centre point. And you should start to see that actually you are getting a little bit of a petal there. Do that for all 4 of those corners, but keep holding that centre point in. Okay, so you've brought them all in, you should have something that looks a little bit like that. And now you can start bending in those petals. Start pushing them in. So I'm just going round my shape and putting my fingers inside those petals, and I'm bending them inwards until they'll stay there without me holding them down in the centre. Okay, it looks a little bit like this now. Alright, so keep bending them in, put it flat on the table, keep pushing it in, be quite forceful. Okay, and then you should have something that looks like this with those 4 petals that you've pushed down a little bit so they stay towards the centre. The last thing you need to do is turn this shape over, and on the back of your shape or on the bottom of your shape you should have 4 triangles left. These are going to be folded back on themselves, and they're going to create the leaves at the bottom of your water lily that's going to sit down on the water. Okay, so you're kind of making those bouncy triangles again, or those hat shapes with those triangles underneath. Fold them in on themselves, do that with every single one on the bottom, and then put it flat on the table again. Okay, so on the bottom of your shape you should have like a square, a turned square, and then over here you should just see those triangles poking over the top of your petals or the top of your leaves. Okay, and that is your water lily. Now what you can do is, once you've got this one, you could use some smaller squares of paper or bigger ones if you wanted to, and you can actually make some more, maybe in different colours. I've got a red one and I made a little tiny pink one as well, and these slot into each other, so you can place them on top of each other like so, and then actually then you've got your water lily shape there. Okay, and you can change the colours or whatever you want to do with that. So there you go. Have a go. Good luck with your folding.